Bore da pawb, croeso i'r sesiwn. So, o'n i'n jyst neud bach o housekeeping gyntaf, so dwi'n recordio heddiw yma. Mae yn sesiwn dwyieithog, mae croeso chi gyfrannu be bynnag iaith da chi'n teimlo'n gyfforddus yn gwneud. Ac os ydych chi angen unrhyw gymorth heddiw yma, gyrwch neges personol at y fi neu Katie. Katie gyda'r llaw? Yma Katie? Katie, ti'n codi dy law i ddweud helo. Ydy'r cyfieithu yn gweithio? Is the translation working? Katie, wyt ti'n clywed fi? Iwan calling Katie? Iwan calling Katie?
Oh, dwi'n erioed yn Cymraeg a Saesneg, so yeah, I can hear the English and the Welsh.
Okay, I'm just saying anyone who needs any support today, just send a message to Katie neu fi. So I was asking you to wave to identify yourself, Katie.
Oh, sorry.
Mae'n iawn, diolch. Diolch. A hefyd yn cyflwyno heddiw yma, mae Jackie ag Emrys. Jackie ag Emrys, lle ydych chi? Nwch chi godi llaw? Gawn ni glywed mwy gyn Jackie ag Emrys nes ymlaen. Sy'n gred. A wedyn helo mawr i chi gyd hefyd. So gai wave mawr gyda chi hefyd, pawb sydd yma. Bore da pawb. Rhan o daily exercise ni. Lyflu gweld chi, diolch. Da ni yma oherwydd nôl ym mis Gorffennaf 2023 nath ni sesiwn ar-lein yn trafod y prosiect ac nath ni holiadur bach ar y diwedd yn gofyn be arall y bobl eisiau clywed am prosiect Dyffryn Dyfodol. So, un o pethau oedd sut da ni wedi cydweithio efo bobl creadigol a cymunedau. Felly dyma'r sesiwn. Kind of blwyddyn, bron i flwyddyn yn ddiweddarach. A wedyn yn y sesiwn heddiw yma, jyst i checio bod ni gyd yn y lle iawn a bod ni yn gwybod be i ddisgwyl. So sesiwn cydweithio creadigol ydy hwn. So lle da ni wedi bod yn archwilio sut mae prosiect ymchwil a datblygu wedi cydweithio efo bobl creadigol a cymunedau mwyn datblygu syniadau a gweithgareddau heb gael ei liwio gan dargedau penodol neu allbynnau neu chanlyniadau. So fyddwn ni'n rhannu beth da ni wedi dysgu, beth da ni wedi gwneud, rhai'r prosesau da ni wedi bod yn defnyddio fo'r rhan o'n efo, a fyddwn ni'n clywed gan Jackie ag Emrys, dau person creadigol sydd wedi cael eu comisiynu efo'r rhan o'r prosiect. So, yr agenda yn fras ydy, da ni'n mynd i roi'n bach o wybodaeth chi am sut nath ni gydweithio bobl creadigol. Mae Jackie a Emrys yn rhannu be maen nhw wedi gwneud. Da ni'n cael gweithgaredd byr, so os da chi heb cael neges am papur a pensel, os newch chi gael papur a pensel ar gyfer y weithgaredd, sy'n gret. Dio ddim yn drwm, dio ddim yn serious, dio ddim yn exam yna beth, so pidwch â poeni gormod amdano, bach o hwyl, iawn. A wedyn nhw'n i gael chydig bach amser i drafod a rhannu, a wedyn fyddwn ni wedi gorffen erbyn 1 o gloch, a da ni'n trio bod yn really cadarn hefo'r gorffen am 1 o gloch yna, gwybod bod pawb yn brysur. So, fel o'n i'n dweud ar y dechrau, os da chi'n meindio cyflwyno chi yn y chat, pwy da chi, lle da chi, beth da chi'n neud, sy'n hynny'n gret, fel mae'n cael syniad o pwy sy'n ystafell, ac ella cyfle gyfarfod bobl da chi ddim yn nabod hefyd. Wedyn cyn i fi drosglwyddo Katie sôn mwy am sut da ni bod yn cydweithio efo bobl creadigol cymunedau, jyst yn bach o gefndir i chi am prosiect Dyffryn Dyfodol. So mae'n prosiect ymchwil datblygu, wedi cael ei ariannu gan Cyngor Cyfredau Cymru drwy gysylltu a ffynnu. Oedd yn prosiect 2 flynedd i ddechrau, gathon ni estyniad o flwyddyn oherwydd Covid a bod yna gymaint i wneud. A mae'n badneuaeth rhwng Cyfoeth Naturiol Cymru, Cartrefi Conwy a Fiwsar. Ac be oedden ni efo diddordeb yn wneud oedd archwilio ffyrdd gwahanol gydweithio, basically, hefo'r 3 partner, a hefyd hefo bobl creadigol ac efo'r cymunedau yn Dolgylch Afon Conwy. So, esiampl o rei peth o stwff da ni wedi wneud, mae'n amrywiaeth mawr, lot o bethau da ni heb di rhannu eto, ond da ni wrthi yn gweithio ar rannu mwy fe chi. Da ni wedi dechrau Instagram account ni, finally. So, da ni'n ar y deg yn rhannu stwff ar Instagram ni. Ond rei pethau da ni'n gwneud, da ni wedi gwneud cinema bakes mewn 3 cymuned, a reit ar ddechrau'r prosiect. Da ni wedi bod fwy diweddar yn cynnig 200 punt am syniadau gyn bobl sydd wedi arwain at lot o bethau gwahanol, yn cynnwys, mae yna sesiwn crefftan Llanrwst yn digwydd bob mis wan, mae yna prosiect sy'n cefnogi bobl ar y spectrwm, mae'n amrywiaeth o stwff. Nawn ni rai neu hwnna mewn 2 bryd yn y dyfodol efo chi. A wedyn un o pethau nath ni'n wneud, lle da ni'n trafod y canolbwyntio mwy heddiw ydy'r galwad i gydweithio bobl creadigol ar y cyd. So mae yna lot o bethau wedi codi hynny. Gawn ni wybod mwy gyn Jackie a Emrys be maen nhw wedi gwneud nes ymlaen. Yn ystod y sesiwn, unrhyw sylwadau neu cwestiynau os gennych chi, jyst rhowch unrhyw beth yn y chat, da ni'n really hapus i ymateb. ac a sgwrs amdano fo, os na ddim amser i wneud hynna heddiw yma, allu ddolfyn efo chi ar ôl y sesiwn. Dwi'n mynd i drosglwyddo at ti wan, Katie, i sôn am be da ni wedi bod yn neud. So, dros at ti, Katie.
Iawn, so beth ni wedi wneud, actually, sorry, Sioned, I'm going to do this mainly in English, so just... Okay, bore da, everybody. So we had a really exciting journey as part of this R&D project, and that included commissioning what we were trying to commission in a different way, a different creative call out. And that was through some direct invites and then also kind of national call out as well. And it was about concentrating on the process of the creative call out. And that took place way back in January 22. And so the approach was quite simple, and we basically put a call out inviting conversation. There were some other kind of small elements to that. I think Yuan's going to put a link in the chat which shows what the call out was, which was on our website. And it was basically, inviting conversation with people. We didn't want CVs or kind of any resumes or any, forms, etc. And it wasn't about a project to kind of deliver, it wasn't a call out to deliver a specific project or output. So we wanted to find creatives that were interested in working with people, to develop ideas and projects as a co-creation, as a collaboration, and with us and also with people in the Conwy Valley, so with communities. Between us, and that was Ewan and myself, we spoke to 68 creative practitioners, and they weren't, the call out, I would say, wasn't about branding it sort of creative practitioners. We tried to have wording that invited people who didn't necessarily practice as a creative practitioner, but who felt that they were creative in some way, just to try and open things up a bit. So we had conversations with 68 people who were interested in working in a different way and finding out a bit more about what this project was about. So after the conversation that we had with them, they were invited to submit an idea, which could come in various formats, of course. And the idea was that when they kind of approached us with a little bit more kind of a bit more of a suggestion what they might do, we were kind of quite keen to hear what their approach would be and the communities or the community they'd be interested to work with. That resulted in about, I think, 26, is that right, Yuan? 26 responses that we then had to shortlist. And the shortlisting process itself was different again, because we didn't have a list of fixed criteria where you score people or anything like that. But it included 6 of us involved with that shortlisting process, including representatives from the 2 partner organisations and then 2 other creative brains who had already been brought in to the project. And that process was quite different, and it involved us all reading or listening to the submissions individually, noting down our biases, noting down what we liked, what we didn't feel was what we were looking for, and then we all came together to discuss. And as you may imagine, this took a long time, but that was part of the process. As a result of that, we then selected 12 creatives who were shortlisted, and we invited them, paid for, to meet face-to-face for a day, and that took place in Trevorrow. After that face-to-face meeting, the 12 went away to work up in more detail their proposals, and this again was paid for. And a result of that, we then had 6 creatives that were selected. So from that selection process of 6, just to explain that we had a fee for delivery of activity and then a different fee for involvement of regular meetings, which were in person and online, as we really wanted to put a value, financial value, on the importance of the collaborative and the supportive side of what we were trying to do collectively. I don't know if there are any questions in the chat, because I can't see the chat, but if you do have any questions about that process, then please pop them in. And as I say, it wasn't, you know, the process wasn't sort of without its challenges, which I indicated in terms of the timescale it takes to have conversations with people, but they were beautifully rich and very worthwhile. It'd be interesting to hear from Jackie and Emrys actually now, and maybe you guys, for part of your kind of presentation or conversation, to just reflect on any of the process, if you want to share. I think we're going to go to Emrys first, if that's okay.
Yeah, hi, bore da pawb. I'm going to share with my screen with you in a second the work that came through the Dyffryn Dyfodol sort of process. But initially, just to sort of expand on what Katie said there about the call-out process and responding as someone who's quite used to responding to artist call-outs, that when one lands in front of you and it's noticeably different, first of all, you're looking for the catch. So what's the catch here? Like, why aren't I being asked to be a round peg to fit in a square hole? And I think that the trust involved between the relationship between stakeholders, between a commissioning body, the artist, the groups you're working with, that right at the start, there was a level of trust that as an artist, as a creative, I trusted the commissioning group that there was no catch, that the openness of that, if you've had a chance to look through the call out document, that there was a very open and honest ask, and that led to a great expansion in the way that I was able to approach my response to that. So I'm just going to share my screen with you and talk through the project very quickly from start to finish of my experience following on from that call out. So we've got here a Miro board. We have, if everyone can see that, we used Miro as our kind of collection place for all of the 6 commissioned artists to put together our findings. I started out looking to be involved with a community at the source of the River Conwy. So I looked to the nearest sort of village, Penmachno, and wanted to engage with the farming community. That was my initial sort of aim, was to engage with the farming community. Coming from a farming background, I wanted to explore the evolution of storytelling from a agricultural kind of source. And I really should have known better, because farmers don't have a lot of time. And as much as I was able to meet people one-to-one, going down the farm drive, talking over the farm gate, it was very difficult to engage beyond that and galvanize a community that is that's very spread out through the sort of geographical area. But my time spent, I'm not from Penmachno, I live down in Cardigan, and so as a visiting artist, I wanted to tread lightly, to have respect for what already existed in the community. And I was fortunate enough to have the benefit of Kristin Luke, who was based in Penmachno, had just started the works on Oriel Machno. And as a visiting artist, I was able to then really start to collaborate right at the start of the project. One of the main things that we did during Dyffryn Dyfodol was, as artists, we met regularly to share what we'd learned, to encourage, to challenge each other. We became a group of critical friends. And Lindsay Colborne, another artist from Nant Peris, sort of gave me a nudge into encouraging me to find actually more of a research question. And it became really important for me to do that, to approach the project with a very much a research question that would overarch what I was looking for. So I kind of followed my nose with that, really. And yeah, I wanted to find out how small an intervention I could have that would make a noticeable impact. And so I started to engage with existing groups to try and elevate the creative practice of the existing groups. And so this idea of becoming a creative friend to the community evolved. So instead of being a visiting artist that would normally be asked to come and facilitate workshops, events, etc., I was a visiting artist that was coming to be a creative friend, a sounding board, a prompter, an instigator, an encourager, and a listener to what was a very lively existing community that actually would benefit most from having someone with a sort of with some critical distance to have a fresh pair of eyes on what was going on and how to make more of it, for instance. So I started 5 minutes, Ewan. Okay. I started with developing a set of prompts cards to go along with the shows that had begun in the Oriel. I then would make myself available to do things like, I'll just zoom in here. We were able to, if you can see my screen, there was an archive of 8mm film found. I digitized that so that could be shared on a screening night. We had a photo sharing day, and I set up Penmachno's profile on the People's Collection website, which is an incredible resource, so that the village can now share beyond its boundaries with its sort of social history. Being poetry underpins everything that I do. So as an artist, poetry is the kind of network on which I operate, and then the fruiting bodies of my work pop up as they may be visual, they may be written, whatever. And so the the Bridgestone in Penmachno offered the opportunity to, it's an englyn, a Welsh form of poetry, offered the opportunity to then use the existing Valley magazine to invite to have a poetry page. Community started to take on, sort of see what was existing, like People's Collection, like Odin, to sort of instigating something for them then to take them on and to carry on with those interventions. It's great cycling country up in this part of the world, and so I would, when I visited, I would cycle around, and it led to, as a conversation starter, I would, and became a kind of regular thing for me to cycle around Penmachno and in the Cwm to talk to people. And then this led to me noting down my conversations and the ideas that it sort of gave birth to, and the poems that came out of that. I then reflected those in lines that were etched onto the slates that were collected from the quarry, and then returned them back into the community and left these etched poem slates in the area, in places where I'd stopped and had the conversations and that sort of thing. Anyway, just coming down to the last piece, because I've probably only got 1 minute, oh goodness. There is available then a little booklet that is a culmination of the learnings from Dyffryn Dyfodol, which for anyone who wants to be involved in community creative projects. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and just hold it up. There are physical copies and digital download copies available, if you'd like to get in touch with any. And it's really been a collaborative sort of edition for a resource for anyone wanting to kind of, take the learnings of our experiences with Dyffryn Dyfodol. And it felt like really that was then asked to produce an output of any sort, anything. The research needs to go somewhere, and I feel like that I was able to put it into this shared pamphlet. So there we are.
Diolch for sharing.
Okay.
I know da ni'n gallu siarad am stwff am ddyddiau, so mae'n really heriol i ofyn I ti rannu mewn 10 munud, so diolch fawr iawn I ti am wneud hynna. So ni'n fynd yn syth drosodd at Jackie. Mae yna chydig cwestiynau, ond ni'n nôl at cwestiynau yn y chat, a cyrwch mlaen I ddod y cwestiynau a'r comments na drwodd. So Jackie, dwi'n mynd I basio mlaen at y ti rwan.
Hi everybody, I'm Jackie Lay. I live in Dolgarrog, and back in January 2022, it seems like yesterday, when I first met you, Anne, I responded to the creative call out and thought, I'm not quite sure what this is, and talking to people, and there was, what is it? And I was like, I don't really know. And then I had the meeting with you, Anne, where he was explaining, and as we were talking, the penny was just dropping. He was saying, we don't want people who are coming in with like hero pieces that you're going to produce as an end product. We don't want artists to be the kind of font of all knowledge, and everybody has to follow you and create workshops in your style. And this is about being part of a creative experience, a creative journey. And I thought, that sounds brilliant. I was already doing a project with the Chymunedau Landscape Partnership within Dolgarrog, because nothing happened much in Dolgarrog. And I got a little art club together, and we were looking at the history of Dolgarrog, which is really rich if anybody knows about it. But this sort of idea of the future and the future of the valley seemed to really complement it and be really fresh. And it was like, well, okay, what happens if we do ask this question to the community? What do you want the future of Dargedau to be like? And I thought, well, how am I going to do that? I don't know, Ewan, could you show my Miro board? Is that okay? So I started with thinking about, well, what's the aim of this whole thing? What am I doing? So the aim, there's a few there. You can see my scrawly writing: to unify the village, build bridges and new relationships, celebrate people, industry, the unique location of Dargedau. Yeah, I don't know if you can see there, but it says better communication and understanding. What happens in the village? Who is it? Who are we? What happens here? And then to create new possibilities, a calendar of events, a sculpture, an art park, walkway to connect us to Trevorrow and beyond, a light festival, a carnival. Had all these ideas. Also, who are we? So I wanted opportunities for young people, jobs, skills, training, experience. But who were we? Who is the community of Dargedau? And you can see there, I sort of just started identifying different groups. So there was a church, there was a school, we've got lots of industry here, we've got lots of commercial ventures like Adventure Park Snowdonia, which is now Cydweithio Snowdonia. We've got obviously the Hilton and lots of other smaller independents. And how could we bring all of these people together? So I think having a creative call out that was really broad and really wide open and looking at the future really made me think very, very deeply before I put my proposal together. And I came up with the idea of, actually, how about we put on a little village fete? And we do it with all of these different people in the village, all of these different organisations. And the idea was to have a meeting of commercial industry with grassroots. And we're by putting something on together, let's see where it goes, let's see what happens. And that's what.
Oh, mae Jackie wedi rhewi. Jackie frozen. You...
He's frozen for me too.
Frozen. So, be dwi'n mynd i drio neud wan, di cario ymlaen I sôn chydig bach am be mae Jackie wedi wneud, basically. So, Jackie, apologies when you see the recording of this. It's not a patch on your presentation. I'm going to try and fill in until you join us again. So, be nath Jackie wedyn oedd datblygu'r syniad yma o greu gwyl nath dyfu allan o'r syniad o cael digwyddiad bach yma, y village fete yma. Ac datblygu gwyl, I fi, o rywun a ddim yn rhan o'r trefniadau, yn huge, really. So, I chi gael gwybod, y fees oedden ni'n cynnig yr artistau 3,000 o bunna, plus y 1,000 o bunna ar gyfer y cyfarfodydd. So, ddim a lot o bres o gwbl. Ond am gen I ddim disgwyliadau o gwbl fyny'r criw Creadigol be ddyn nhw'n wneud. So, mae Jack wedi gwneud y thing mawr ma ar y cyd hefo'r gymuned sydd wedi bod yn gret. So, mae Jackie wedi gadael stafell, so dwi'n cymryd fydd hi'n ail ymuno. Katie, os ti'n cadw golwg ar Jackie yn y waiting room, sy'n gret. So, dyma, wel, na i fynd at y poster nath I creu gyntaf, sydd I fyny fa yma. Fel da chi'n gweld, mae'r Miro boards ma'n hynod ddefnyddiol I rannu stwff. So, dyma yr ddelwedd nath Jackie greu gyfer yr wyl, so hynna'n digwydd nôl mis Medi blwyddyn dwytha. Ac oedd hynna yn cael ei drefnu ar y cyd efo gymuned, nath nhw greu sefydliad yn enw Creadigol, sef sefydliad di-elw. Oedd wedyn, wnaeth Jackie rannu efo chi, nath nhw godi lot mwy o bres wedyn tu hwnt I ffi Jackie, mwyn gallu cynnal yr wyl yma. Wedyn yn y gwylod yma, mae Jackie wedi rhannu lluniau efo ni o'r wyl. Dwi'n meddwl, os dwi'n iawn, y 600 bobl yn y gymuned wedi troi allan yn y diwedd. Mae yna rei artistiaid ar y galwad efo ni heddiw yma. Dwi'n gweithio ar rei elfenna o hyn. Cymysau thraig amazing yma. Bach o lyniau, bach o syniad i chi o be oedd yn digwydd. A wedyn dwi'n gobeithio bod Jackie mynd I ymuno nôl hefo ni. Katie, os na arwydd o Jackie yn troi fyny? Neu ddim eto? Okay. So, na i gario ymlaen i sôn am... Sori, dwi yn slow yn symud pethau ar yr peint yma. Nath Lindsay wedyn, un o'r system eraill yn cael ei comisiynu, ar y cyd efo Gwilgarog, creu future tent yma, oedd yn archwilio sut fath o ddyfodol y bobl eisiau ar gyfer Gwilgarog. Mae lot o weithgareddau wedi bod yn digwydd cyn Gwilgarog fod rhan o hyn hefyd. A wedyn rhyw fath o diweddglos licech chi ydy kind of dod â pob peth wedi cael ei roi ar y bwrdd, o flaen llaw, i'r babell ma, lle yna fwy o gyfle i bobl drafod beth sy'n licio gweld yn digwydd yn Dolgarog ar gyfer y dyfodol. A wedyn nath hynna ffeillio o syniadau eraill oedd Lindsay wedi cael ynglyn â cydweithio rhwng Capel Curig a Dolgarog a falle hefyd. Ac yma lot fawr o stwff ar-lein am Dolgarog yn Lindsay hefyd. Ella, Katie sy'n gallu rhannu links am y gwaith yn Dolgarog efo Future Sense nath Lindsay wneud, hynna wych. A wedyn, ar y ddensfeydd yn yr eglwys falle hefyd gen i. Ach chi'n gallu dweud fi'n winging it, really, drach, really. So, dwi ddim yn gallu siarad hanner cystal o Jackie yn hyn, ond lle maen nhw wedi cyrraedd wwan, ydy maen nhw newydd lwyddo hefo grant am 150 o filoedd o bunnoedd ac efo prosiect sy'n cael ei gwblhau erbyn diwedd mis Tachwedd, hwnna'n rhan o'r Levelling Up Fund. So hwn ydy'r cynllun maen nhw i gyd i wneud fel rhan o sefydliad, really. Dwi'n yn gwybod llawer amdano fo. Dwi'n gwybod nhw'n brysur, gen nhw loads o waith ar y gweill, a maen nhw'n mynd i fod flat out rhwng wwan a mis Tachwedd, really. Ond dwi'n gobeithio wneud Jackie ddod yn ôl i ymuno fo ni. Ond dal dim sôn am Jackie. So na i ddim sôn mwy, dwi wedi rhannu chydig bach o wybodaeth efo chi, ond nhw'n i roi cyfle i Jackie just kind of pasio barn am y broses efo ni pryd mae hi'n ail ymuno hefo ni. So, diolch i Jackie er bod sydd ddim yn gwenu, ac i Emrys am rannu. O'n i eisiau rhannu rhywbeth arall da ni wedi gwneud efo criw creadigol hefo chi hefyd. So nathon ni yn Tal y Bont, neu cyfarfod y mis Ionawr, nathon ni ofyn i, ond na llon stafell, 12 ohonyn ni, criw creadigol hefo'n gilydd, ofyn i, oedden ni'n cael lot o drafodaethau ynglyn â sut i ddisgrifio a rhannu sut mae Dyffryn Dyfodol ella wedi bod yn wahanol i brosiectau eraill. Maen nhw wedi gweithio ar. So, dwi'n mynd i rannu wwan be nathon ni greu. So, nath pawb creadigol greu rhyw ddelwedd neu diagram. So, dwi'n mynd i basio ymlaen at Emrys eto wan. Just i sôn Emrys os ti'n meindio ynglyn â. Hwn di dy diagram di yn ceisio... Hello.
Yeah, we created two diagrams. Ewan, can you go to the first one? Just
yeah, hold on a second.
The diagrams were sort of visualizations of the commissioning process and the creative process of way that we normally sort of would undertake a project. It was a very quick exercise, but this first one, just quickly, it was a very linear path to me, as in it had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you may not, it's not important really completely what it says, but it was a frustrating path. It was a frustrating path where there was a compromise, and there was a feeling of sort of flatness at the end, like a post-party come down, where maybe we realised that the compromises had taken away the essence of what we were trying to achieve potentially, and that maybe the longevity wasn't there for the impact of the project to carry on without us, which is really what we want to do. The second one, more importantly, was this more cyclical process in which there was constant evaluation and pivoting of an idea. So we started out with a question. There was a point of no return where we really had got to grips with what that question was and how we were going to embed and work with community and to move a project forward. We then moved that forward with confidence. We gathered people along the way. You can see at the bottom, there's a gathering of people along the way. Then there's a wiggly nature to the path, which we'll take turns in carrying the torch as we're inviting expertise and collaboration with different people. And inevitably, we come back to the top where maybe we're posing another question. And so there's this cyclical nature rather than a transactional relationship where we're asking for a deliverable and we are ending up with an outcome. Yeah.
You're on mute, Yuan.
Oh, schoolboy, yeah. Welcome back, Jackie.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't believe it. There must have been a power surge. My internet went off. Yuan, can you just move the Miro, please? Yuan.
I've done a really bad job of explaining your project, Jackie.
Oh,
but
no.
I've been through the main stages, but do you want to just kind of summarize in like an overall way what it was like? And I'll bring the Miro board back up for you.
Okay.
And I've talked about the 150 amazing £1,000 that you've now got for the community as well.
Hefyd, there's also just a question from in the chat just about yeah, keen to hear about from Jackie how particularly how did you ensure all voices were heard in decision-making process rather than the loudest or most confident?
So in terms of that, so to go back to where I think I was before I went. So the starting point really to sort of get people together was I put on an exhibition, an archive exhibition of photographs of people's past. So I invited people from the community to bring along photos of their life in Dargedau. And we went to the local, like the cog, the shop, and people came in and brought photos in. Next minute, we had 500 photos of the history of Dargedau. I think there is an image there somewhere on my Miro board. And people loved it. The first day I opened the doors, 200 people came into the church, this little church, and they stayed and they talked and they carried on. Talking about the history and what used to happen in Dargedau and the aluminium works and, you know, their life as children and so on and so forth. And from that, we established a little group of people who then started meeting on a regular basis to put together this village fete, which ended up as the Gweithgareddau. And we just kept inviting people to little events, to the meetings, and then we sort of ran events with different parts of the community. So I got some more funding. I went, because this thing was growing and there was an appetite for it, I got more funding. So I got lottery funding. And Anne Howard's here. Hi, Anne Howard, who you'll see on some of the photos, working with the children to create the tale of the Garog. And by targeting the different groups, we targeted the school, we targeted the sort of teenage of the village, and our elderly folk. We had an afternoon tea in the Hilton. We got as many people around the table as possible, and we also had Lindsay Colburn working with us, because she, I don't know if, how much Yuan explained, but Lindsay
I've been through all the different parts,
the elements,
really, all the different elements. So I mean, because I'm just wondering now whether it'd be great if you could record, like, not now, but like record you talking about your Miro board with a video to share with people. Because we're going to run out of time, and it's not really fair me to try and rush it, really. Such a basic job of it.
What I was going to say about with Lindsay, she went round with individuals and created this amazing website, which is like a map of Dargedau, and then you go into the different areas, and it's all people's voice. It's all about people's voice. The whole project is about the people of the village, to answer Heather's question. So the way to engage everybody. And I mean, there's still people that we haven't engaged, but hopefully with our next projects, we'll bring more and more people on. And it's grown. I think my whole kind of experience of this project has been.
Oh, Jackie's
one
gone.
of great freedom. Oh, great freedom, great liberation to just see what happens, and by talking to people and working with people in different capacities, different ways. We've now got a really strong group of people, or groups of people. There's lots of different groups within the village now who are engaged. Yeah, so sorry about that.
Diolch, Jackie. I'm so sorry that you haven't had like a decent 10 minutes to talk about it.
That's okay.
We can blame technology, absolutely.
Yeah, I can talk forever about the project.
Well, we all can, can't we? That's what I was saying earlier. So diolch am rhannu hynna. So hefyd ti isio just really cyflym am 1 munud, just sôn am kind of cynlluniau dyfodol, so ar gyfer yr 150 o filoedd. So o'n i'n gallu rhannu hynna efo pawb. So sy'n gallu gwneud mewn kind of 1 munud rhannu be di cynlluniau dyfodol chi, sy'n gret.
Are you so? Can you say that in English? Sorry.
Your internet's still playing up, I think, Jackie. So can you just really briefly, 30 seconds, explain what your plans are with this £150,000 that you've got now, which is amazing.
Right, okay. Yeah. So the dyfodol, you can see it's in the title there, dyfodol agored. So Dolgarrog used to be called Dolgarrog, renamed. So it's about the future and the history. And we're creating community gardens for people to come and work together and play together. We've got another festival, we've got other events, including Dolgarrog's Got Talent and a poetry evening. And we've, most importantly, I think, we've created some jobs. We've got 3 people appointed, one of which is myself as a project coordinator. And then we've got somebody to work with us as an outdoor events coordinator, and then somebody working alongside me as a kind of a second sort of project coordinator. And we're looking to the future, beyond this grant, and what we might do next year, which is the 100th anniversary of the dam disaster. And that could be really sort of symbolic of healing a community and change in the future. So it's really exciting. And yeah, that's
brilliant.
my
Amazing. Well done, Jackie, with all your amazing hard work. And then what we did when you weren't with us, Jackie, is we went to the diagrams and Emrys shared his. Do you want to quickly share your diagram, which I'll share with everyone now, and then we'll go into the exercise.
Okay, so my diagram was the kind of traditional kind of creative call out, perhaps more the kind of way that I've been used to working. So you've got the idea, and then you write up your stages of the idea, who your target is, and creating the thing, and then you get the prize at the end, the workshop's delivered, the things achieved, you write your report, and that's it. I think with this project, you can see on the right hand side there, I've got the idea, which turned into several ideas and grew, and the idea is that just by bringing more and more people on, and you can see them all cascading down, it just grew and grew until like we're creating a community of as many people as possible to be engaged in who knows what. And this is the back of my page where I've just put lots and lots of question marks. Where next? What next? Where are we going with all of this? So that was my...
Diolch, Jackie, hynna wych, brilliant, diolch I chdi. A gobeithio wneith internet ti weithio o'r pwynt yma ymlaen, gobeithio. So, wan ydy'r amser i chi gael eich papur a pensel allan. So, os ydyn nhw'n barod gyda chi, so hynna yn wych. So, be sa'n ni'n hoffi wneud ydy Sori, Katie, ti sy'n mynd i gyflwyno beth yma. Dwi'n gweld nodiadau fi wan. So dros at ti, Katie. I'm sorry.
No, I'm fine. Carry ymlaen. Well, okay, yeah. So yeah, what we would like you to do is to also see if you've got a few minutes to do your own drawing. And there's no right or wrong about doing this at all. But just to have a little moment of reflection about what your traditional kind of creative brief might look like and how you would like to receive a creative brief moving forward. So the kind of the instruction is about create a diagram or drawing of your ideal creative commissioning process, and we're just going to give you a few minutes to do that. I have popped it in the chat. Yeah, we're just going to have a couple of minutes of silence whilst you have a little think about that, if that's okay.
Katie, we'll go into breakout rooms first.
Okay.
So if we, the idea is that you make your own. Oh, sorry, no, you're completely right, Katie. Mae'n ddrwg iawn gyda i, ymddiheuriadau. I'm getting confused. So yeah, a few minutes to create your diagram gynta. Diolch. Sorry, Katie.
Okay. So just give you 1 minute more. Okay, iawn. Dwi'n yn siŵr os mae pawb yn eisiau rhannu. So, yeah, ydych chi'n ymfodlon dal eich diagram fyny ni gyd I weld. Swn i'n hoffi gwneud screenshot os mae'n posib. Clearly we can't see them all, but thank you for contributing. Okay, Ewan, have you got your screenshot? Iawn, okay. So nesaf, swn i'n hoffi drafod mwy. Yeah, swn i'n hoffi drafod mwy. Am eich diagramau a cwestiynau canlyniol So mae gen i tri cwestiwn. Beth fyddai Comisiwn Creadigol defrydol? So, 2, beth yw elfenni pwysig? A 3, beth ydych chi'n yn eisiau'n cynnwys neu gadael allan? And we're going to go into some breakout rooms so you can have a short conversation with others. If you would like to take the questions from the chat, copy and paste them and bring them into the breakout room with you, that would be great, because we don't know a way of posting the questions in the breakout rooms. So if you'd like to do that, and if you'd be happy to just, jump into your breakout rooms that Ewan is about to allocate everybody.
Croeso nôl pawb, welcome back everyone. Katie, dwi ddim yn cymryd drosodd y bit yma, I promise.
Right, okay, ydyn ni'n barod am cam nesaf, dwi'n meddwl. Okay, so what we'd just also like, another moment of reflection, self-reflection, with a view to just, if you want to just write any notes that you kind of, or ideas that came up for you in terms of comments, responses, questions, because then we're going to invite you to put them in the chat. But the idea is that you put them in the chat all at the same time. So you write down some of your thoughts or questions, and then when I say 3, 2, 1, then they all go in the chat at the same time. So there's no hierarchy of information. So I'm going to be quiet for a minute and a half, let you have a think if there's anything that you want to share with us, and then I'll invite you to put it all in the chat at the same time. So any ideas, comments, responses, or questions? Okay, I'm hoping some of you will have had a chance to. Oh, do people want a bit more time? Thumbs up if people are ready, or thumbs down if you're not. Okay, I can't see many thumbs up. Oh yeah, I can see some thumbs up. Okay, I'm going to ask you on the count of 3 to shove your things in the chat, and we'll see what happens with a cascade of sharing. So, 1, 2, 3, ewch. Okay. So this is always the fun bit, is then to have a chance to look through and see if any of us would like to pick out anything, Jackie and Emrys, or anyone else.
I'm loving Angharad's the best commissions come from the community, which is what I found, and allow for messiness, which can be the compost for the next things. Love it. Allowing for mistakes, isn't it?
Mae'n a lot sôn am messiness, actually. Mae'n eitha difyr.
I like willingness from both parties to be curious, learn from one another and create something new. Trust in the creative.
Yeah. And Rachel Rosen, being able to experiment and take creative risks. It is that risk taking, isn't it? And but also continuous dialogue with the commissioner so that expectations are managed. Trust is vital. I think that's one thing that I didn't get to say, which I wanted to say, was that continuous dialogue. That second part of what Dyffryn Dyfodol was, you know, the research part where we constantly met up and reflected and analysed and talked and worked out, you know, I suppose our next steps, what our next steps might be, or and having that trust and having that ability to take risks was really liberating as well.
I'm just trying to help Emrys because he's stuck on mute. Emrys, I can't help you, sorry. If you've got any comments, Emrys, please put them in the chat if you've got any. And we've got a few minutes, chydig bach o funudau. Os di rhywun hefo unrhyw gwestiwn neu unrhyw ymateb I be maen nhw'n darllen nhw neu profiad maen nhw'n drwyddo fo, neu stwff da ni wedi rhannu heddiw yma. A mae'n hollol ffain os yna ddim cwestiwn, na comments. Mae'n rili difyr. Dwi wrth y modd yn darllen drwy'r sylwad am ei gyd. Mae'n gymaint dwi fel isio sgwrs am oriau yn ystod lawr efo chi gyd, rili. Yeah. Dwi wrth y modd efo gyd, a y peth sy'n sticio allan I fi ydy'r sôn am messiness. Da ni'n siarad am messiness lot efo'r tîm, a dwi disgrifio y broses yn eitha messy a bywyd yn messy, really. So mae'n rili difyr sut mae hynna wedi codi yn rhan o'r sgyrsiau da chi wedi cael hefyd. So, lle bod yna fath am y messiness yna. Emrys, are you back and able to unmute?
He should be back.
He is back. Dwi wedi gadael o mewn, I'm just letting him in. So, Emrys, can you hear us?
What a day to have problems with the internet.
Oh, but we can't hear you, Emrys. Are you still trying to unmute but can't? Oh, hey.
We will be saving all of the chat and we will send it out afterwards, just to let you know that. So we've all got a way of just keeping an eye on what's been shared. Karine, you have a question. Would you like to unmute?
Yes, I missed some of the translations. I wasn't sure, so I thought I understood that you were inviting us for questions, and I suddenly added that. It's a question I asked quite early on in the session. That was, if we have the chance, I'd really like to revisit this weekend. So when you were talking about the selection process, and you said one of the first things you did is writing down your bias. I'm really curious about that, to hear what you learn from doing that on yourself and how that impacted on the selection process and the conversation you had then as a panel.
Did you even contact Katie?
Sure,
so
yeah.
Dwi wrth fi yn astudio seicoleg ar hyn o bryd, so mae biases yn rhywbeth really pwysig dwi'n dysgu lot am, a mae'n rhywbeth lle mae'n anodd iawn I ni wneud unrhyw beth amdanyn nhw, achos maen nhw'n inherent yn ni, really. So dwi'n rhan o'r peth pwysig I ni oedd cydnabod a ceisio rhannu efo gweddill y panel be oedd biases ni. A rhywun peth o'n i'n rhannu oedd fel rhywbeth sydd wedi dylunio neis. Dwi'n hoffi hynna. So mae hynna'n mynd I ddylanwadu ar sut dwi'n darllen rhywbeth os ydy dylunio neis a di gyflwyno mewn ffordd neis. really basic. So be nath o ddim wneud, nath o ddim cael gwarad o biases ni, ond jyst gwneud ni'n ymwybodol o biases ni ac archwilio kind of biases yn hynna'n, a rhannu o hefo'r panel oedd yn penderfynu mwyn i gael bod yn onest amdano fo, fel bod ni'n gallu pigo yn gilydd allan. So os oedd rhywun yn licio rhywbeth mwy na llall, yn gallu gofyn y cwestiwn wedyn, oherwydd y bias nes i rhaid ni o blaen, wyt ti'n hoffi hwnna? Neu actually, os yna rhywbeth arall. So yna gyfle i mynd y ddyfnach i mewn i sgwrs ynglyn ar be oedden ni'n pwysau tuag at neu'n pwysau i ffwrdd ohono fo, really. So dwi'n meddwl bod o'n ateb i gael gwarad yn nhw o gwbl, ond mae o'n ddechrau tuag at o leia cydnabod nhw a gweld mae biases ni'n effeithio ar penderfyniadau ni a sut da ni'n edrych ar bethau. Katie, ti isio ychwanegu?
And yeah, just quickly, just to say, for me, it was about identifying, what resonated with me or what I didn't like, etc. But by being open and transparent about that enables you to be challenged. And therefore we can then kind of actually say, is that a valid reason to either particularly go for this or particularly not go for that? So that's what it took a lot of conversation, and there were 6 of us doing that. But also it was interesting to realise that there were a number of biases that perhaps were quite similar as well, and to have an honest conversation about that and to question ourselves as to whether that was legitimate. Well, not legitimate. I mean, obviously we have biases, that's legitimate, but whether it was a legitimate part of the process for decision making. So hopefully that has answered your question.
Or continued the conversation about biases, at least, even if we haven't answered your question. Emrys, are you able to talk?
Yes, I hope so.
Yay! Did you want to say anything, or did you just want the ability to do it?
Yeah, I think just a reflection of something from our discussion was that the sustainability of projects in terms of their longevity and their life cycle, the sort of transactional relationship that has a defined outcome usually has an end point, whereas communities are ongoing entities. And so what we had all been looking at in commissioning, in being commissioned, is how that can be sustainably carry on without us. And I think that the approach that we had in Dyffryn Dyfodol, and the approach that perhaps is being trusted more, is that there is an ability to engage with the process rather than the outcome, so that there is a sustainability to which that process can grow, can change, is more dynamic, and has a lasting impact. Yeah, that was all, I think.
Right, diolch, Emrys. And I just ymateb i be mae David wedi sgwennu ynglyn ar kind of, do we need framework, borders, confines within which to be messy? Yes, absolutely. Un o'r pethau oedden ni'n trio wneud efo prosiect oedd creu'r gofod fel sefydliad wedi cael arian, oedd yn gwarchod y bobl creadigol o'r cymunedau i gario ymlaen efo beth nhw eisiau wneud, yn hytrach na gorfod meddwl am daro targedau penodol, really. So, yn amlwg wrth wneud cais, da ni wedi rhoi targedau mewn, ond da ni wedyn ddim wedi pasio hwnna ymlaen at y criw creadigol, really. A dyna y playground, dwi'n meddwl, da ni wedi greu fan rhan o Dyffryn Dyfodol i'r bobl creadigol a cymunedau cael cydweithio hefo'i gilydd i gario ymlaen hefo be oedd yn codi wrth cydweithio hefo'i gilydd, really. So dwi'n meddwl, ma angen rhyw fath o fframwaith, ond mae yna ffyrdd gwahanol o greu'r fframwaith na, really. So dwi'n gobeithio bod Dyffryn Dyfodol, da ni wedi creu fframwaith sydd yn llawn ymddiriedau yn y gilydd ac y gofod na i bob creadigol gwneud be maen nhw'n amazing am, sef syniadau a cydweithio a bod yn brilliant yn gyffredinol. So, gwych. Diolch. Dwi'n ymwybodol o amser. So, da ni yn gallu siarad am ages. Os da chi eisiau cysylltu hefo ni i gael sgwrs pellach, da ni'n really hapus yn ei hynna. One-to-one, mewn grŵp arall, neu bynnag, cysylltwch efo Katie a fi, ddylse bod gennych chi gyd e-byst neu ar ôl ni e-bostio. Really hapus i wneud, gael panad yn y math, so croeso i chi wneud. So jyst i orffan wan, so ni wrth y modd, os ydych chi'n meindio cwblhau poll bach i fi. So nath ni ddysgu tro dwytha bod ni ddim wedi rhoi digon o amser, so gobeithio bydd yna fwy o amser heddiw yma. Sorry, Crean, sgyn ti gwestiwn cyn i ni fynd at y polls?
Yeah, sorry, really quickly, because you said obviously you had to put target, but it's obviously in the way you worked, so many things that you could not anticipate that would be happening. And you're thinking of the project in Dolgarrog, that one of the direct outcome is to secure this funding from Leveling Up Fund. I mean, I hope you claim credit for that, but are you able to report that into to your funders, because that probably won't fit in a box?
Wel, mae'n gwestiwn rili da, achos dwi'n meddwl Jackie sydd wedi gwneud hynna ddigwydd yn edrych ar Dyffryn Dyfodol, a dwi'n meddwl da ni'n cael sgyrsiau Jackie ynglyn â bod Dyffryn Dyfodol wedi bod fel seed, really, ar gyfer hynna. So dwi'n meddwl mae yna balance rhwng claimio rhywbeth, achos actually cydweithio hefo Jackie, a Jackie sydd wedi mynd i ffwrdd i wneud o, ond ella bod wedi sbarduno hynna a rhoi'r hyder ella i Jackie fynd off a gwneud y cais na. Dwi'n gwybod, Jackie, ti isio ymateb yn gyflym?
Yeah, I think, yeah, very much it was like the catalyst was the future, you know, I mean, the whole kind of idea of the future of the valley, and that really captivated me and started me thinking that. So maybe it was the theme of the call out as well, as, you know, the way it was so open and so on. But yeah, it was very much a catalyst.
Brilliant. A da ni wedi sôn lot hefyd ynglyn â ripples, so good timing, Emrys. Stwff da ni wedi ddechrau ella, a da ni'n gwybod pa effaith maen nhw'n gael wedyn ar ôl nhw adael ni. So, a da ni wedi dod i derma hefo peidio gwybod be sy'n digwydd yn union yn sgil rhywbeth sydd wedi dechrau ella efo prosiect. So, Emrys, ti eisiau dod i mewn?
Yeah, just picking up on that point, that one of the sort of ambitions that I have now is to bring the Dyffryn Dyfodol process and structure to another part of the country. And so the transition from being a Conwy-based project to, you know, I'm from Creadigol on Pembrokeshire border, so bringing that to another part of the country is sort of, yeah, the ripples are ongoing for the sort of Dyffryn Dyfodol, and how is that you know, possible to evaluate within the time frame is, well, it's not my problem, but I think that it just shows that it's, you know, the opportunity was there to be bigger than it, you know, it possibly could be written.
Could I just come in on that as well, because I think we've been discussing the successes of our projects, which obviously we want to do. We want to say, wow, you know, this was brilliant, and everything. But if it hadn't have been that, and, you know, something very sort of much smaller and less successful, perhaps, I don't know, how do you measure success, would have equally had value because of the process and that continuing dialogue with each other. And how often do you get 8 creative people in a room working together and, you know, thinking outside the box in that way? That was a real luxury, I have to say. So yeah, it's not always about outcomes, is it? And to fail, you know, is also valid, I think. Yeah.
Diolch, Jackie. Mae hwnna'n wych. Fel yn deud, sy'n gallu siarad am ages. Dwi yn mynd i roi 5 munud cyfa i chi gwblhau y cwestiynau i fi wano, os da chi'n meindio. So, nhw'n ni gloi ar ôl hwn. So, dwi'n fi'n lansio y poll. So, nhw'n ni gymryd 5 munud o'ch amser chi i gwblhau a llenwi'r cwestiwn yma, os gwelwch yn dda. So, ni'n fod yn ddistaw tra bod chi'n darllen ac yn gwblhau. Diolch. Sut mae pawb yn dod ymlaen efo cwestiynau? Sgwennu traethawd, ella? Dwi'n gwybod tro dwytha nath ni orffen, a ni'n bach o frys, a nath ni orffen yr holiadur yn bach yn gynnar. Ydy pawb wedi cael cyfle i gwblhau? Gawn ni ddangos dwylo os ydych chi'n barod? Dwylo, os na rhywun dal angen eich bach mwy amser. Chos yn anffodus, unwaith dwi'n cael, ydych chi'n gallu gwblhau dim mwy, so dwi'n mynd i gael wan. Diolch yn fawr iawn i chi am eich amser yn gwneud hwnna. Rili ddefnyddiol i gael eich adborth chi. A wedyn, da ni bron yn cyrraedd 1:00. O'n i rili isio diolch enfawr i chi gyd am ymuno efo ni heddiw yma. Mae gen ni un sesiwn rhannu ar-lein nesa. Dwi'n mynd i roi yn y chat. So, mewn mis, byddwn ni'n trafod gwerthuso ag adlewyrchu. Dydd Iau, Mehefin 30. Mae croeso i pawb ddod. Mae gen ni westau gwahanol i Jackie Gemnus tro nesaf, so yn rili ddifyr i gael sgwrs a cael chi yna. Ac fel o'n i wedi dweud o blaen, os ydych chi eisiau cael sgwrs am unrhyw elfen o prosiect, haps gael panad, neu os ydych chi eisiau e-bost i ni, neu be bynnag, sa'n gret, croeso i chi gysylltu. Ac diolch i Katie ac i MSM Jackie am gymryd rhan, diolch i pawb am ddod. Sioned, diolch enfawr am y cyfieithu. Dwi'n gwybod bod fy Nghymraeg yn fratiog ac yn gyflym ac yn anodd i gyfieithu. So diolch Sioned am dy holl waith calad. A cadwch mewn cyswllt. Diolch yn fawr iawn i chi'n ddod. Gyrwch gwestiynau ato ni. A diolch am gymryd rhan. Ma 'di bod yn gret.